And I believe everyone should be back.
I think some of the groups may have been cut off while people were talking, and I'll just say for group 7 or breakout 7, I apologize for that. That was an automatic cutoff, not anything we had a choice on.
Yeah, Joe, I want to say the same thing. This is Clay. We were in group 3, so sorry, group 3, we got cut off. And I did note the last comment regarding Westwood Drive. So thank you for that. And yeah, we'll look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Clay. And just to further piggyback on that, a lot of valuable input, really good insights that people that clearly care about the community. And if we did not get to your topic, and I apologize again for the cutoff, but make sure that you send that in, because there was some really good feedback that was coming there. Thanks.
At this time, each moderator is going to recap at high-level concepts, the breakout room discussions. At this time, I'd like to ask Scott to kick us off with a few key takeaways that you learned during your session.
Okay. So the major topics or points that came up in our group, there were a number of questions regarding property displacements, impacts, as well as impacts to businesses along the corridor. I stated that at this time, those impacts have not yet been defined, but they will be forthcoming in approximately the next year or so. We will have a better handle on that once we get into the alternative, the analysis of the alternatives. Cost of the project was also brought up. Again, we have planning level estimates. We do not have detailed costs for all the alternatives at this time, but those will be forthcoming as well. We discussed the schedule. Schedule for, as Tammy mentioned in the presentation, this study is expected to be complete at the end of 22, and then we would move into the phase 2, which is actual construction documents, and then the start of construction, currently anticipated for probably early 2026, approximately 5 years from now. We asked individuals how often they go across the crossing, traverse the crossing on a daily basis, and that ranged anywhere from 4 times a day to 15 times a day, and basically all numbers in between. We also heard approximately about half the time there was a train there, so they were, half of their trips were impeded by the presence of especially a freight train that are obviously very long and slow moving. I think those are the main topics that were discussed. Yes.
Thanks, Scott.
In our group, sure.
Next, I'll ask Bill if you would like to summarize your group.
Sure. There was sort of the main one we got on or spoke about most was pedestrian access. Obviously, that'll be provided at the crossing itself, but this was more concerned with pedestrian access away from the crossing, potentially down near 76th and Grand Avenue, to provide easier access to the Metro station, and perhaps another access point maybe north of Grand Avenue, where a lot of students from that area may cross the tracks to go to the high school. So that was interesting to find out about. Other comments and thoughts regarding property impacts, sort of what Scott said there earlier, that we'll continue to study that as we look at these 6 options. There was a comment regarding traffic impacts during a potential detour during construction. How is that going to affect this area going forward during the construction? And sort of an overall theme of improving safety and hopefully improving property values and helping the businesses in the area as well.
Thank you, Bill. Clay, can you summarize your session?
Yes, I can do that. I'm just kind of trying to clean up my messy notes here. Yeah, there was one comment about just, well, there were several comments about vehicle travel. Some of the participants travel about 5 days a week, and they see a huge need for improvement there. One of the biggest concerns probably was, in addition to safety, was the great delays that the crossing caused today, and need to try to make that better. One comment was, if you use Google Maps, it'll route you around the crossing. I thought that was kind of funny. I could see that being delayed as much as it is. There was comments about the alleys adjacent to the project and that they're used all the time. Some speeding through there becomes dangerous, and it's kind of a nuisance. Train horns were brought up. That was another item that could go, and I don't think anyone would miss it. Impacts to homes was definitely a concern. Impacts to access were a concern, specifically at 78th Court. There were questions like, what will be the impacts? Obviously, we're working through those. One concern for the grade separation that was voiced, again, applied to the area of 78th Court, where there are going to be displacements. There's a concern for that. One comment was, will this be like the Franklin Park grade separation? Not necessarily in a total negative light, but there was concern for pedestrian travel through that location. The pedestrians are too close to the road with the high speed of travel and the number of vehicles. Concern for bicycles that want to use the Grand Avenue crossing. I guess some have seen bicycles try and use that, as well as pedestrians, and it seems very unsafe. There's a concern for bicycles getting like the tire getting trapped between the tracks. We all know about the accident with the gentleman in a wheelchair. That was a similar situation there. And then there was one comment about along Westwood Drive, that there is people jumping the fence, cutting the fence to get through to try to avoid some of the delays and issues at the crossing. That sums it up.
Thank you, Clay. Cecilia, can you provide a summary of the conversation in your room, please?
Absolutely. There was concern as a property owner at the Westwood Drive. The concern was they've lived there for a very long time. They felt that the grade separation would definitely impact their dwelling space there. And that was the highlight of their concern. There were comments that was favorable to the safety, that this project and this grade separation would be beneficial, and that they realized that it would be an impact to certain folks that live in the area. But when they compared it to what they saw in Franklin Park, they felt that the safety outweighed what's happening right now, which is just impact to safety and concerns. And so they'd like to see that addressed. Someone also commented on the noise of the trains, of both freight and Metra. And another concern that seems more impactful for livelihood safety is the bike and pedestrian and safety acts, whether they're crossing or getting stuck, as my fellow moderators have pointed out. I think that there seems to be an echo regarding concerns of just the safety of folks crossing through. That also impacts vehicle passing as well. So everything that has been echoed has been also mentioned before. So appreciate the comments that we received.
Thank you. Chris, can you provide a summary?
For sure. Thank you, Tammy. I want to piggyback on what Cecilia and Clay just mentioned. As we have also discussed in my group, I think we touched on almost everything that the question that we posted to in the breakout session. So the main thing that we talk about, of course, has to do with also the safer pedestrians and bicycle access along Grand Avenue. So safety an issue because riders tend to get their tires stuck on the railroad crossing. So that's one concern that have been echoed by Cecilia and Clay. We also talk a little bit about the signage along Grand Avenue that need to be improved to warn and to notify any users that go into the metro station. So as it is, I don't think that's enough signage according to some of the comments in the room to talk about better signage to tell people where metro stations access can be located, especially for the parking lot. We also have discussion in regarding to safety as well. So obviously safety, traveling along Grand Avenue is a big concern for all the regular users, whether you're getting to the train station or getting to the PACE buses. So that's the main safety issue. And so also noise concern for the freight and the metro trains. So as has been discussed and echoed by Cecilia and Clay. So we also have that discussion in our group. And then we talk about the detour, potential detour routes when the construction of the grade separation is going on. And then we also, of course, talk about the impact of the property, what's going to happen, as we have discussed. And also somebody in my group also talked about existing duration of the warning at the crossing being a little bit short and abrupt sometime. And just in general, the impact of potentially for the businesses in the area when the construction is going on. And I think that's it. And I appreciate everybody who participated in our breakout session.
Thank you, Chris. I believe our last moderator was Joe.
Sure. A lot of the same comments and concerns. So I will just try to go over it fairly quickly. Obviously, the safety, certainly the issue about bicycles and the concerns about bicycles crossing there, as well as vehicles and changing lanes within there and how difficult it is to see what's marked and the conflicting issues on safety there. Concerns about the noise and the benefits that this project would have if there's a grade separation on eliminating the noise that the trains make when they have to sound their horn. Some of the major concerns would be addressing some of the impacts on the homes and on the businesses, particularly since the exhibit that shows the potentially impacted area shows such a large area. And we tried to clarify that as being what we have to evaluate as a part of this study, and we'll have a much better understanding of what those are as we go through the alternatives. Some concerns about costs and what those will be, not just in terms of the total project cost, but also in terms of how that impacts the taxpayers, and in discussion a little bit about how much of this would be funded through other funding sources to minimize and perhaps even eliminate any local impact on funding. We started to really get into some of the dreaming bigger and what could be done for aesthetics when the session ended. And I think that there was some discussion about the maintenance that the railroad does, or perhaps a better phrase would be doesn't do, for the aesthetics along the alley along Westwood and some of the businesses in that area. And if there were opportunities to enhance the community by not just improving what we're doing in terms of the traffic and the safety and all of the modes of transportation, but also in terms of the aesthetics. I think there was some discussion, that would be a great opportunity. I may have missed a few items, but I think that covers some of the big issues.
Thank you. It sounds like we had some really great conversations and received a lot of valuable feedback for the project team to consider during planning. At this time, we still have a few minutes left to our meeting and time for question and answer. We can verbally respond to any remaining questions that we've been receiving. If we don't get to your question this evening, you can still email us at info@grandgatewayep.com, or you can call the project team, or I'm sure the village will accept letters at the village hall as well.
Tammy, if I may add, this is Chris. In my group too, we have people asking questions regarding to the information that they might be able to get. So I kind of inform people in my group, my breakout session, to follow the website for any development, new development, and any comments and questions they might have, so that they would be up to date on any question or concern they might have. So I want just to echo what you just mentioned, how to get a hold of the team to kind of talk about any concern they might have.
Thank you for that reminder. And we also just posted in the chat that we'll also be using the village newsletter to share information village-wide as well about the project. We received a question in the chat. How can people with limited or no access to the internet stay informed? And as we just mentioned, the village newsletter will provide updates regularly. People can also contact the village at any time or the project team via phone calls, letters. We will be happy to answer any type of communication we receive. Another question is if it's determined that the underpass is the way to go, flooding potential should be addressed. And I know, Scott, we received that question in our breakout room. Would you like to discuss?
Sure, absolutely. Obviously, with the new improvement of this nature, drainage, proposed drainage will be properly addressed. We are not going to build an improvement of this nature and have a flooding problem. Specifically with regard to the underpass option, a pump station would likely be required due to the elevation that the roadway would be at. So a pump station will be needed to elevate the storm water to the appropriate outlet elevation so that there would be positive and acceptable drainage with the proposed improvement.
Thank you, Scott.
Hey everyone, I have something to share. My name is Eric. I was in Joseph's breakout group, and our group was just beginning to touch on what would this look like 30, 40, or 50 years from now as far as aesthetics, and that really this is our opportunity to kind of think ahead and envision what the space could look like. And so as I think about this, I think that it's a pretty interesting topic, because currently, the tracks, if you're on foot or on a bike, it's just somewhere, a space that you want to avoid because of the hazard. But if we're going to make it safer and encourage people to walk and cross there, maybe this is a good opportunity to also add nice landscaping, benches, maybe a place for for people to kind of hang, The Chicago 606 did kind of something like that. They it was a park district thing actually, where they repurposed old train tracks. But my point is that there is an opportunity to combine, I think, both interests. I don't know what that could look like, but I'd share that comment.
Thank you. That's a great comment. We do have about 5 minutes left if anybody else has additional comments. If not, Kyle, if you'll advance us to the next slide. The next step in the outreach plan is to engage the general public throughout the Pell process in phase 1. The next meeting will be held in the fall of 2021, and per CDC, State of Illinois COVID-19 guidelines. The public will be able to provide comments on the following topics: project update and present proposed alternatives. For more information, questions, or to be added to the project contact list for future updates, please visit our project website at grandgatewayep.com. The website will be updated throughout the major milestones of the project. It provides opportunity to ask questions, to be added to the project contact list, and provides resources and project documentation. You can click Stay Connected to contact the project team. Also, the recordings of the meeting and meeting summary will be posted to the website under Project Resources for future reference. There are copies of tonight's presentation available at Village Hall. We will also be providing project updates in the Village newsletter, or you can contact the project team at 630-534-6400, extension 105. Finally, we want to thank everyone for your attendance this evening. We greatly appreciate your time. And again, just as a reminder, for questions or to be added to the project contact list for future updates, please visit our project website at grandgatewayep.com or email us at info@grandgatewayep.com, or you can call us at 630-534-6400, extension 105. Thank you for attending tonight.